Hey everyone, I want to first apologize for the tardiness of this latest episode. Tardiness on two fronts. A, it's being released later in the day on Wednesday, which is where I normally release my episodes, and usually at 7 a.m. This episode was something special in a couple of different ways. Basically, this was filmed last August. I went down to Virginia Beach. I met up with Annette LaRue, J.D. Crow, and the last person I interviewed was Scott Sterling. When I arrived home and I went through the footage, I was a little bit taken aback in the sense that Scott wasn't what I expected him to be, in the sense that he's gone through some mental issues. He goes into a little bit of it on the episode. And I don't really know Scott that well. I know him better now. It's been about a year. And I didn't know how he would take to having this version of him put on video. And I've spoken to other people, and they all told me that, the old Scott probably wouldn't have wanted anybody to see this part of him, but that the newer Scott, the version that we got of Scott we have now, wouldn't have a problem with it. And I still didn't know how to take it. Plus, there was a lot of editing. It was just difficult for me, and at the time I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but especially with this, because it was such a personal thing. I recently saw Scott last week at the Lenoir convention in North Carolina, and he asked me about it, and I didn't know how to approach him initially, but when he asked me about it, I told him my feelings about, feeling not sure whether or not it should be released and not knowing how to approach him about it. And he was like, you know what? I really don't care. I want you to release it. So I came home from North Carolina and I've been working on the editing, and I'm pretty much done with it now. And I'm gonna release it this afternoon. I do ask that you stick around towards till after the end. I have a couple of videos of me walking through his workshop and such, and I think it shows a nice side of him that I don't think a lot of people, unless you take the time to go out to take one of his workshops at his house, you're ever going to get to see. Scott's a wonderful person. I want to thank York for helping out with the questioning and stuff. He's in the background of the video, and of course Annette LaRue for getting me out there, getting me the interview with him, and producing this particular episode. So in the meantime, I want you guys to take everything with a grain of salt with the video. It's guerrilla style. It's early. It's about a year old, a little over a year old. And like always, like and subscribe, spread the word. You guys keep me wanting to do this. So have a good day. See you when I see you.
It was all closed and boarded up, and you couldn't get in there, and there's flash on the floor. And and then the next tattoo shop I saw was up in Spokane, Washington. And that was when there wasn't so many tattoo shops around anymore. So I'm up in Spokane, and the very first tattoo shop I go into, I traded this girl, Leslie, a Mexican sweater I got down in Mexico, for a tattoo she did on my back shoulder. It's a perfectly good tattoo, real nice tattoo.
Right.
And I'd covered about, buried under a bunch of black. Then my next tattoo was like a week later, and what brought me to Spokane, Washington was I was with this girl that I had fallen madly in love with in New York, and I followed her all the way out to Tri-Cities area in Washington, and I only had really enough gas to make it to Spokane. This was after I had gotten, my next tattoo, actually I traded a knife sharpener for this one on my forearm that Ed Hardy did. And you can still see a little bit of leaf here, a little curly Q here.
Something coming through.
Yep, something coming through. Because, as we all know, who are tattooers, the only way to cover something
Just black.
is black. Is black. Yep. And even with these colors in Europe that they're trying to ban and everything because they can't get them out of the skin, still,
I think part of that is, I think it's all political. I don't think it's anything to do with anything other than political.
Right.
So,
Yep.
we'll get this out of the way, and then we'll do. Hey, everybody! Thank you very much for sitting in for another episode of Not for Nothing. I'm in Virginia Beach, and I am with Mr. Scott Sterling. And thank you very much, man. This is super cool that you were okay with sitting with us.
Oh yeah.
Or sitting with me, I should say. Sitting with us. It just sounds weird.
Yep.
So, do you want to go into a little bit of where you're from originally? And somebody had said you were from upstate New York originally?
Yeah, Syracuse, New York.
From Syracuse.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where I grew up. And then went through high school. And I was born in 1953.
Okay.
And I got a load number for the draft, or else I would have been going to Canada.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Or Vietnam. And I didn't want to go to Vietnam and, have people that were trying to kill me, that I had nothing against them.
Right.
So I was lucky that year. And
Went to college.
I went to college at State University of New York in Brockport. And I went to be a health education teacher.
Oh, for real?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So kind of like almost like a phys ed teacher, or like more like it's teaching a course in health?
In health, yeah.
Okay.
And when I was doing that, I was student teaching in a place called Industry State School. It's just south of Rochester.
Okay.
And that's where I did my student teaching at.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
And the kids there, they were all kids that had been institutionalized most of their lives.
Okay.
And they were going to continue being institutionalized most of their lives. And no matter what they did to you or anything, you weren't allowed to hit them back.
Yeah, of course.
Uh-huh.
That was a different day and age too.
Yep, that was a different day and age where, now I guess, like I had a little kid that was like the most normal kid you'd ever see. But one day he took one of those big poles that you have to open and close windows
Oh,
with.
yeah, I remember those, yeah.
And he threatened a teacher there with that. And this kid had took a shotgun and killed his mother, father,
Christ.
2 sisters, and a brother. And only one of them survived.
Wow.
And he was like a normal, everyday kid.
You never know. Yeah.
Pretty much normal until he reached that point and he would snap.
Right.
And there was other kids that, so I quit. I didn't go any farther pursuing that health education thing because it was pointless to try to help these kids out.
Yeah.
And no matter what I would do, no matter how cool I would be, like I brought an herb called Damiano. I don't know if you know what that is.
No, I don't actually.
But I would bring that to school and,
Try to help out with that.
try to help out with that. And
How did you get into tattooing then? I mean, if you're going to school, you didn't get drafted.
no,
What was the infatuation with getting tattooed? Is it something that happened at a young age, or is it something that just kind of fell in your lap?
just fell into my lap when I was at Lyle's. I started at Lyle Tuttle's in
Right.
1982
What made you go out to California?
to seek out Ed Hardy.
Oh, for real? So
Yeah.
so there was a love for tattooing that you kind of like you were pursuing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I didn't know I was pursuing it. And I didn't know how much I needed to get tattooed.
Right.
But sometimes, and Stephanie would tell you this if she was here, sometimes you just need to feel that pain.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. I mean, there's a lot of people that it's almost therapeutic for them.
Right,
till
it was
this day.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
And I had a guy named Jesse I used to tattoo, and I only tattooed him once during COVID because I snuck down to the shop, opened it up, tattooed him because his tattoos are therapeutic to him.
Right.
And he is, he's a special guy.
Right.
And when I say special, he's kind of crazy too.
Yeah.
And now he calls every Sunday looking to get tattooed. And the kid who sits across from me, and I've always been in the back corner of the shop.
Right.
In Cleveland Street, I was in the back corner. I was in the back corner at Ancient Art now. And I like being in that back corner because I can see what's going on in the whole room.
Yeah, you got the whole. You have like it's almost like being in the Godfather booth at a restaurant. You see the entire.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And I can read the room and tell what's happening just from that back corner.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard to do, but I still have a club that I brought from Hawaii, a nightstick that I've never had to use since I've been here. But when I was over at China Sea, do you know a guy named Sonny Tufts?
Yeah.
Okay, Sonny was in Hawaii with me, and he was sitting in my chair, and Sonny used to do these assemblages and like that in Bullseyes and Black Eyes.
Right.
You know, if you look through that, you can find all these assemblages that Sonny did. And Sonny was sitting in my chair, and I touched up a panther on Sonny that Erno from Lyle Tuttles did.
Yeah. Okay.
On him, and Erno's no longer alive.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Erno was a fucking junkie that lost his one arm from an abscess. And then Erno started tattooing again with the other hand. And like me and Erno, Jesus, when I was with Lyle, at Lyle's, it was like I was getting so much fucking pussy there that when Erno would be taking and breaking down his equipment, I'd talk to the girl and I'd have her upstairs
While he was breaking down or setting up.
When he's setting up for the next one. And Erno, nobody ever used the sterilizer before I was there, believe it or not.
No, it's not. That's not hard to believe. That's not hard to believe at all.
Right.
So did you end up getting hooked up with Hardy before you met up with Lyle and got offered? Was it a formal apprenticeship you were offered, or did you just go in and like everybody else back in the day just start working?
No, I served my apprenticeship at Henry Goldfield's shop.
Yeah.
My motorcycle got stolen. I rode a BMW and I rode it all around the United States several times.
So you rode from New York to San Francisco then? At some point, is how you got out there?
Nope, I took a Dodge Caravan out there.
Okay.
And a Dodge Caravan, big cute van and like that. And that's why I was getting rid of stuff. But before that, I was down in Mexico buying stones, jewels, and taking them across the border.
Okay.
Now, my passport was stamped 2 times within the same year for all the countries down to Costa Rica.
Right.
And when I was coming back with these stones, and I could fit, a lot of stones in one pocket if you know what you're looking for.
Right.
And I had a guy up in Spokane that told me how to look to tell what a good stone and a bad stone was.
Right.
And last time I saw him, he was in Idaho and living off the grid in a truck, just like I was living in a truck. And when I first got to Hardy's, I knew where he was because Walt had showed me the book, The Tattooist.
Right.
And when Walt was doing my arm, and he also had another book there that had, old Japanese guys in it that were like just fucking totally black and shit. Just about, how that old Japanese stuff would spread.
Right.
And like that. And I thought, man, that's what I want to look like, is those guys.
You want that much coverage. You want that much saturation.
Right. And I don't, I'm pretty well fucking saturated right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at your forearm here and it's fucking slamming.
Right. And it's, held up real fucking good. Walt did a hell of a job on me.
Well, again, it's just a test of time. I mean, you can't, there's no getting around it. Like, no matter what anybody likes to say about what they consider to be a good tattoo, you're never going to go away from that style and what it's capable of doing over time.
Right. Right. So that takes me back to my second tattoo, which was from a guy named 357 Scotty Salazar on my forearm here. And Scotty Salazar, I traded a knife sharpener for. And I guess I traded the knife sharpener for because I met this biker at that time that was fixing a wheel on his motorcycle. So So I just traded the knife sharpener to 357 Scotty, and I don't know where he is now.
Oh, well, that's typical of like especially that time and age. It's
Right.
like not everything is documented like it is today.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You
And then my third tattoo is a butterfly I got on my chest by Walt, and it's still there. You can still see it underneath.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that was the second tattoo, but you had
That was the third tattoo.
the third tattoo. Sorry.
Mhm.
And now this work has all been. Some of the stuff has been covered up. Like this piece on your forearm,
Right.
you said has been covered
And the
up.
one on the chest.
On the
has been
chest is now covered up. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And that was my third tattoo, and that was when I was trying to get rid of shit. And so I traded other stuff to Walt, who did this, my left arm. And I traded to him a hammock, a Mexican hammock, a blanket.
You traded for the tattoos.
Yeah, traded for the tattoos.
That's amazing. A Mexican blanket and a hammock. That's crazy. That's,
That got the start on this arm.
right.
Uh-huh. And the start on that arm led me to seek out Don Nolan.
Okay.
And Nolan was near the Pike Street Market in Seattle.
Oh, see. Okay, so you're going further up north now.
You're right, and northwest
Right.
from Spokane, and because I was looking to get tattooed, I went in and saw Nolan and told him, and I had these ones on my upper arms, and that's all I had, and I went looking for Nolan. He wasn't there that day. But I also went down to Danny Danzel's shop,
Okay.
where Vivian Lozando worked.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Well, she's, last time I saw her, she was still a real pretty girl.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen her. Oh God, it might have been a Nationals convention like back in like the late '90s. I want to say like mid to late '90s. I think
Right.
that was a long time ago.
Right.
She's your age, right?
What's that?
She's like 70 now, huh?
She's probably close to my age.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And, Rello, well, I don't want to say anything about her, except that she was exceptional to her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like completely ahead of her time, considering what she was doing at the time. Well,
Right.
what I'm thinking is like late '80s, early '90s when I got into it in the early '90s. Like she was a name that people looked at and
Mm-hmm.
taking that kind of tribal style and just kind of doing her own thing with the flowers and colorful stuff, and
Right.
which at the time was, I mean, for me, where I was on Long Island was kind of really standoutish.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Very standoutish.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's that pose of her in the book The Tattooist when she's got the phoenixes or cranes going up and wrapping around her and like
Right.
that.
Right.
And, yeah.
So, do you know who did that stuff? Or
I think Hardy did.
was it Hardy?
I can't think of anybody else who could have done it.
At that
well.
time, especially,
Right.
it doesn't make sense.
Maybe Walt?
What's that?
Walt Daly?
No, Walt Daly didn't do it.
You could talk louder, Renee. I mean,
Yeah,
Renee.
uh-huh,
Oh my God.
Mhm.
But,
So, I went and talked to Nolan because I know that Nolan was one of the best at doing Japanese stuff.
right.
And I knew that Cliff Raven was real good at that too. And I knew Hardy was just from reading that book, The Tattooist.
Right.
You've seen the book, The Tattooist, with the guy with the big squid on the cover.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, those were standard in most shops. Well, I guess any legitimate shop back then. Well, they're mainly legitimate shops
What
back
many
then.
books to have?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
And so, anyways, that's how I learned about Ed Hardy. And I got tattooed when I went down to LA. Bob Roberts was at the shop because I remember, well, I mean, I might not have met Bob till later on. I remember I remember Hardy when he laid the stencil on my back piece, that Bob was there, and Bob was saying something to Ed, because Ed didn't shave me, and that was, he put it on with tissue paper.
oh, and you just put it right over like whatever hair.
The hair was on me, and Bob making some fucking comment to Ed about it, saying, what you doing there? And Ed had to fucking quick draw a whole fucking other thing.
Oh Christ! Yeah, because that was like a one shot.
Yeah, one shot.
Yeah.
That's how you put the stencils on,
Yeah.
and that's how Sean Anderson still puts them on, I believe.
Yeah, it's. Oh, I can't say that I know that personally, but it would make sense being how like he's very old world in that sense.
Right.
You know?
Well, Sean is another guy that I kind of broke in at Moses' place, but I never really broke anybody in. I just put machines in their hands, and then they could take it from there. And Sean, has a different version of it. But I gave Sean a left-handed Paul Rogers that I had,
Right.
and Sean, takes it apart and cleans it every year. And I don't know why he does that, but Sean is so, he's head of the APT and like that.
I was gonna say he was one of those guys that were really pushing for regulation. Well, it's not proper regulations, but regulating shops where they did the right thing. You know
Right.
what I mean? So that we didn't get a bad reputation based on what other people do.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, him and Metal Mick were down here for the Virginia Beach convention, and we were. I saw him there, and he didn't. I don't know. And I saw Annette there too, and Annette is always trying to help people out. That's just what Annette does. And I need to tattoo Jake, but I don't know if it's going to take me so long to get my shit back together because it's all down at the shop
right.
at Ancient Art, and it's going to take me so long to get together. I'd rather just have Jake come over here and I'll do a private seminar with him about machines.
He
and I
will.
can- Yep.
Yeah, he just lives over in Sandbridge.
Right.
He'd love to come hang out with you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you a question about the machines. Like, so most of your machine theory, like most of the things that you learned from it, was it from tinkering or was it from somebody you sat down with and
From tinkering.
from tinkering?
Yep. Like I went down to Lyle's, and this was before I'd done a tattoo on myself on my leg right here, and it's a skull, and it looks like shit, but it's where I could fucking reach.
And you could futz around and figure out exactly what it was that you were doing to make changes on the springs or whatever.
Right. Yep. That's how I learned about what Shane would call sacred geometry in
Yeah.
his tattoo discourse book, and I'm still learning to this day. I've got 3 tattoo machines breaking into my room off a battery
Oh, nice.
because I think that's the absolute best way to break them in.
Yeah, it was just breaking in, or do you use them? Do you use a battery as well when you're tattooing for a
Yeah.
power supply?
I do use a battery for a power supply.
Yeah.
But they're making these power supplies so good now. I've got 3 power supplies in there, 4 power supplies in there, and I'm running off. 3 of them are running off a battery. There's 2 of them that are running off of wall current.
Okay.
And this one I made, the last one I made, which is a Color King, and I never cared for that name too much, Color King, but Rollo called it a Color King.
Right.
And so that's taking you way into the future with me.
I was going to
getting into
say
this business.
you're jumping way ahead again.
Right.
So.
Right.
So how much time did you spend on the West Coast? Like, was it mainly in San Francisco, and did you go to Hawaii after that? Like, how did that come about?
Well, what brought me to Hawaii is meeting Mike Malone, and I met Mike Malone when me and Moses were going to a tattoo convention in Dallas, Fort Worth, and we're in the car, and me and Gibson, and Moses is driving probably from Mississippi, and me and Gibson were talking, and we're saying, where we would like to go work.
Right.
And both me and Gibson said China Sea. And, just at the same time, I happened to get to Malone before Gibson did. And I said to Rollo, because I hadn't seen him since he put a fucking Mr. Lucky on my leg.
Nice.
And I hadn't seen, and you know, when I called him up about coming out and visiting him, you know, he just gave me, yeah, sure, you can come out here. And then, you know, he realized that I was the guy that had the Hardy back piece on me.
Okay.
So that got me to get to go to Hawaii because I got to Malone.
How long were you out there for? Was it busy? Was it more of just a military base kind of shop, or was it more of like a
Malone shop?
Yeah.
No, it was fucking dead. I mean, Malone used to come up here and work for Crow on military bases
to make money out
money
here.
because
Yeah.
it was so fucking dead. And Good Time Charlie, I might have done that too on paydays. I'm not sure about Charlie if he did that or not. I know they got fucking poisoned when they were eating Signatera fish down in I can't think of the name of the island. In
But they got poisoned from the fish itself. Like, what was that?
yeah, it was pufferfish.
Oh,
You
okay.
know? And if that's not prepared correctly,
Properly,
and only real good sushi,
places are going to actually be able to are going to be capable of that.
right? Mm-hmm. So you know, Crow almost got poisoned. Fucking Charlie did too. Malone, who didn't eat the fish, I guess. Malone. Well, all I know is like Malone and Hardy were like brothers.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far apart they died, but they were probably born, you know, in the same year or something. I know last time I saw Malone, you know, me and Danielle were on our honeymoon,
Right.
and we went through Canada to get to Leo at Spiral Tattoo.
Okay.
And when I'm sitting there with Leo, he's using one of those Icon power supplies, tattooing.
Right.
And those things run real good like that, but they, you know, you might as well just tape over those numbers or not use a foot switch. I don't use a foot switch. I haven't used a foot switch for a long time.
I was going to say a foot switch we were just talking about this the other day about, you know, issues with your hips and
Right.
stuff like that from years of using it. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I just set the fucking machine down in my lap and go. And I probably got a lot of marks on my side
From that.
From
So-
that. You know, I know I got a lot of dirty fucking shirts.
The first time I'd ever seen that, we had a fellow we worked with, this guy named Joe Olson on the East Coast, and old school biker dude, and he was the first person I'd ever seen like literally lay a running machine in his lap while he was tattooing.
Right.
And it was the craziest thing because I'd like till this day I still don't lay a machine coil or anything like, you know, really running like that. But I remember being blown away by it because it's just, you know. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing to ever see. And then, but he also, at one point, we saw his thighs and they were covered in needle marks from testing out needles
Right.
in his
Yeah.
pants and stuff.
And I've got that on my leg here, where a little patch where I test out
Yeah, you can see it, yeah.
and different colors. And I found that, you know, and this is went from Malone right here, and it says "Mi Vida Loco," or "Mi Vida Loca."
That camera and get a picture
I'm actually going to snap a photo of my
with
camera.
this though.
Mm-hmm.
With this one.
No, I got this.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's right next to that Pop Roberts Panther. And, you know, everybody thinks that Shane, you know, Shane's a real good fucking tattooer. He learned how to fucking tattoo in prison.
Yeah, I've only heard stories. I don't really know him.
Right.
So,
I know him
you
real
obviously-
well.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier when you came in. You just recently were talking to him. So
Right. Yeah, I tell Shane, you know, all the time. Shane's a hard guy to get a hold of, though. Unless you call him a certain time of day, he won't answer my calls. And when I was up in New York, I gave him a refrigerator magnet, and he said he would pay me back on the flip side of that one. You know, that's what I'm doing now. I'm selling refrigerator magnets because everybody's got a refrigerator,
Yeah,
and it
true.
sticks to my refrigerator. So why would it stick to somebody else's? I just sold one to York this morning.
It's a picture of Scott's tattoo.
Yeah.
It's a good, clear photo of Ed Hardy back piece.
Right.
nice.
And I was talking to Mike yesterday because Todd Noble did Mike's back, and it's a cover-up. And in the cover-up, it on the bottom of it is an axe that's a cover-up on Mike's back. And I was asking Todd Noble, who's a real good tattooer, if he knew the reference that he used for that.
Okay.
And he didn't know.
For real?
Yeah, but he didn't know what reference. But he had drawn up a tattoo that was very similar to my back, and it had planes. And
I wonder how much of that has to do with just seeing something subconsciously,
right,
and then just going, oh, I remember that, and just because I mean I've done that with countless things,
right.
So that's pretty interesting.
So now to keep me, I digress a little bit through all of this, but what started me in tattooing is I did that tattoo on my leg, and I outlined it at Hardy's, and then a week later I filled it in at Lyle's, and when I filled it in at Lyle's, I had taken all these machines apart that Lyle gave me the night before, took them down to at Hardy's place, looked through a toolbox he had of old machines, and kind of figured out by looking at Paul's machines how to set up
Like certain spring geometries and
just started tinkering and learning about spring geometry and like that. And those were on old Lyle Tuttle, what we call belt buckle tattoo machines.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the winged ones, because the winged ones, he made that in solar. And that's the only one that he made in silver.
Okay.
But I started with Lyle right from the get-go, and I was selling drugs to all the tattooers in San Francisco, and that got me into everything.
I would imagine that would make sense, actually. So.
Yeah, I was selling drugs to Hardy. I was selling drugs to Henry Goldfield, where I kind of slept in Goldfield's shop on the floor at night, and
Tell about your first day with Lyle. He gave you your machines.
Yeah, well, Lyle gives me these two machines, and I had put them. I took them apart and went up to the third floor, where Lyle's shop had 3 floors to it.
Right.
And took them apart and put them together and got them running the way I thought a liner and a shader should run.
Should run, yeah.
And showed them to Lyle the next day, and Lyle gave me that look like, here's this snot-nosed kid taking his fucking machines apart that he just gave him. But Lyle was impressed that I could get them back together and running.
So he at least took the time to recognize the fact that you knew what you were doing. You weren't.
Yeah. And I got a free tattoo on my leg from Lyle. And Lyle says he never did a free tattoo on anybody, not even his daughter. His daughter Suzanne, who I used to sleep with, and Lyle had.
Oh Christ!
Well, I should not say shit like that.
No, you should tell us everything.
Go for it, Scotty.
Well,
this is history.
Right. Well, Lyle had a suitcase or a little briefcase that he kept acid in, and he even had Sandoz acid in there. And Lyle gave me some acid when I was in San Francisco, working for him and with his daughter there. And Lyle calls me up on the phone, and I'm just peeking in like that. And I guess this was probably before I started tattooing, or maybe it was after I started tattooing, probably after. And I picked up the phone, and Lyle says to me, is that stuff any good? And I go, yep. And I told him I could see where you got the Cosmic Dribble from. Because Cosmic Dribble is just, like the tattoo that Lyle did on me, and it's, it doesn't face forward, well, it faces backwards here. And cosmic dribble is just like a quarter moon with a bunch of stars and dots and some shading in it. And, you know, so that's how I got my in with Lyle. And Ed told me that I should go down to Lyle's when I first got there and check out his museum.
Right.
So when I was first getting my arm done from Ed did my arm and he drew on just some lines real quick, and I couldn't even tell what he was drawing. He just drew a shape for the bird and circles for the mums.
Right.
And
so everything was proper freehand.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, just about as freehand as you could get.
Right.
And he drew it on in probably like 10 minutes or so. And I was thinking at the time, well, you know, you got all these other fucking pictures and photos out there of your work and shit. And this was at Realistic, the original Realistic.
The original
that was
one,
behind the laundromat on Van Ness Boulevard, where I met Dan Higgs and Freddie Corbin worked there. And I never cared too much for Higgs's work because I thought he was using too bold a line. And, you know, but that stuff has held up, you know. I mean, when I just saw Rad, you know who Rad
Yes.
Ford McLeod is?
Yeah.
Yep, he's still got that on his forearm, I'm quite sure. And Rath, who is a pretty tough guy. I mean, I would not fucking fight Rath. But I'm too old to fucking fight anybody now. But anyways, I never cared for Higgs' stuff too much, and where people are so enamored with Higgs stuff that, and I was told that by Robert Ryan that he's got a room that he keeps paying rent on that's got all, that his room, Higgs painted the whole fucking room.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. You seen it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It was
I've
above
never
the
seen
old
it.
shop. They moved that shop, right? Electric?
Electromagnetic.
No,
Or
no, no.
not electric.
It was Schwaghart's shop.
Right. Uh-huh.
Did they move that shop and he still rents that upstairs because of the paint? Or is that shop still there?
It was still there last time I was
Okay.
there.
Okay.
And last time I was there, you know, Mike still in the back, had some of my original flash from China Sea
Nice.
that I had done in colored pencil. And, you know, I got colored pencil prints over there. And this is one I've never done for a back piece. And I think it's my best back
That's
piece.
cool.
And I just drew the waves and the clouds around it.
Turn it around this way.
Oh, yep, and I think this is my best back piece I ever did. And it's from the Sui Godin, which is where my back is from.
Right.
But you see, this is all, in a certain way, it's a love story.
As far as with tattooing, or just the people that you're around at the time. I mean,
Well, what brought me out to the West Coast was I was with this little girl that she was, geez, I think she was fucking 16 years old or something like that. And,
different day and age.
Yeah, different day and age. And I was with this black girl, not Danielle, and everybody thinks I like black girls. I don't care if they're black or white. I just like girls.
I think it's just one of those things that's like you're attracted by something. It's not
right.
any one thing. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's just something.
Right.
That's the point of being in love, I guess. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of any one thing. And if chances are, if you are searching down one thing, you probably got issues.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Now, when was this? What year would this have been? Like, would it have been like early, mid 70s?
Yeah, mid 70s.
Mid 70s.
Yeah. Probably. Well, me and Leo, I know, started about the same time.
Okay.
Probably within weeks of each other. I know this is Leo's 5th tattoo here. Okay. And Leo kept the white from closing in on the black from closing in on the white because he put the white in there.
Right.
And that kept it from closing in. It still looks, you know, Still looks great today.
It's funny. It's one of those things like Paul Booth does that now too. Like,
Oh, yeah.
And it's something I think it's something he kind of grew into. I think as you get older, and I'll be honest with you, with me, it would be more because of my age, and maybe I'm not the cleanest tattooer that I once was. You know what I mean? So you do things to kind of like to guarantee that the thing's not going to fall apart or it's going to age in a certain way. And it's silly when. If you said that to somebody now and said, yeah, if you packed white in an area, it should hold that together a little bit or keep it from traveling too much. And some people would be like, wrong, and then you can show them your leg and be like, no, you're fucking wrong because it does work. It's just a matter of maybe not on everybody, but it does work.
And it just depends on how much you pack it in and how close it is together. See, like I used to have a fucking dot here that's gone now.
But how old is that tattoo? I mean,
this tattoo? Well, this tattoo was started in, I mean, me and Leo are real close to when we first started.
Right.
Because, Leo always says that, I had big tattoos on him before he did. You know what Leo's first tattoo was?
No.
It was a little heart on a China seat.
Oh, for real?
By Mike Malone. And I did a sheet, black and white sheet, when I was at Black Cat with Candy Everett, that I wrote Kalihi Boy on it. Because Leo was a Kalihi boy.
Oh, for real?
Because he came from Kalihi. And I don't know if you knew where Kalihi was.
I don't know.
Well, it's just a section of Hawaii. And like I knew, who Rosie was. Rosie was a Filipino tattooer that tattooed in the alleyway. And he had only 10 over the top of the alleyway. And I was down there, and he had a sign on the door, Rosie being Filipino and like that.
Right.
And it said, "Steep right in, boys." Like steep, S-T-E-E-P, ride, R-I-D-E, in, boys.
Okay.
And, we would send people down to Rosie if they didn't want to pay
what you guys were
asking.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Rosie would put, everybody gets the tattoo they deserve.
Yeah, so it's kind of almost like the beginning, I don't want to say scratcher, but it's like the beginning of like the cheap tattoo.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which we see daily. I mean, some people go to one place, so your minimum charge is this, your minimum charge is that, and they end up with the minimum charge of $20, $40.
Right.
You know? So how long was your time out in Hawaii then?
I was there between 1989 and 2005.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that late. It was that late. It was that long. Okay.
Yeah. And in 2005, I moved back here with Danielle. And in 2005, I also had a bipolar episode.
Okay.
That was a real bad one. But Danielle could still visit me in the hospital.
Okay.
And when I had one up in Washington State, she couldn't visit me in the hospital, and she flew out a couple of times to visit me.
Oh, yeah.
And then at that time, I had this little dog named Val, and Valentine was her name.
Right.
And she was just as cute as she could be, and I always kind of blame myself for Val's death, because when I came back, I saw Val, and Val was just so happy to see me that I was kind of blaming myself for Val's death. And then since then, I have another dog named Kala. Kala would follow me to the end of the earth.
Right. That's the nice thing about those types of pets. I mean,
Hey Scott.
Yep.
Why don't you tell them about building machines with Mike?
Oh, okay. Well, when I was building machines with Malone, I built all the shaders, and Raul built all the liners.
okay.
So we weren't stepping on each other's toes. But I made a machine that I know that I used from right after I got over there till sometime, till 2009,
Right.
when Shane got me back into this business by doing an article for Tattoo Artist Magazine.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And, because I couldn't go to conventions for a while because conventions just stressed me out.
That's understandable. Yeah, that's
When
understandable.
you put me in a room with 300 of my close friends and people start throwing a lot of money at me, then I I get a little low, just like.
Well, working with Mike, how much did it change the way? How much did it change the way you looked at how you built machines? Did you stick strictly with the way you did things, or did you kind of like shift a little bit to work the way he was building machines?
Well, I kind of shifted a little bit to the way he was building machines, but now when he could no longer get the raw frames from Huck, you see, I was the first person to probably put an angle on the back shelf of a machine.
Okay.
And Shane will probably tell you that. And I did that when I got those first Bulldogs from Hawaii.
Okay.
And I put a 3.5-degree angle on the back shelf of a machine, and then I preload a little bit of tension on there because I think you need to preload a little bit on there. And that's why I run my machines for as long as I do.
Because you want that spring to kind of break in without...
Right. Mm-hmm. And I just happen to have this in my pocket.
The coil?
A coil. And that was given to me by, I think, somebody in Hawaii, or somebody did a seminar here, probably from Hawaii. And this is the only thing these coils are good for. Because, well, the way they're making them now at Spalding, it's because of the sleeve on here. When you have a big sleeve on a 5/16 core, then you're not going to make a real good magnet out of it.
Right.
Because the machine will get a little warm. And when things get warm and heat up, cool off and heat up, then what happens is you'll get two wires that touch against each other on the inside of those coils, because the enamel will start coming off of the coil and it'll short out. And
you got to replace your coils.
And then you got to replace the coils. But if you can very carefully move that back coil out, you can figure out if the short is in the back or the front.
Okay.
And I did that with one of Hardy's machines, and the same shader he tattooed my back with. Was able to get the back coil out, and I sent the back coil to Jimmy Hankins. Jimmy Hankins rewrapped it with the same number of feet of wire.
Okay.
He had set up in his house a coil winder, and that all takes us back to this letter that I give people when they come here. Did you ever hear that saying? Everybody owes Owen Jensen $28.
Yeah, I've heard it said maybe once or twice. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's because Owen Jensen got killed out of the shop. Got killed for $28
I didn't
when
actually
he was
know
open,
that, actually.
closing up the shop on the Pike at Long Beach.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. No.
Yeah, and that all relates to a letter I have that I give out to people when they come here, and it's a 4-page letter, and the last part of the letter got lost because, when I had the original letter, it still smelled like pipe smoke.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. That's super. I mean, just to have that, is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. And I had a kid named Noodles transcribe that for me. Now, Noodles is a very interesting character in that I've still got a piece that he did out at the shop that he had framed at Ancient Art, that he had framed all up in a wooden frame.
Okay.
For me. It hangs back in the corner, and it has got a wolf, and it's got no dice and a girl's leg, and I've gotten kind of a beef with him in that he had the screens for the tattoo shops, for Rallo's tattoo shops in Hawaii.
Oh.
You've seen the red one and the black one. I don't know if you've ever seen those shirts that were...
I want to say I probably have, but off the top of my head.
Mr. Lucky
One was
shirts?
a Chinese junk that said China Sea above it, and the other one was the girl and the guy in the Kama Sutra position.
Oh, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
he has the original screens.
yeah, he had the original screens, and I got kind of pissed off at him because I just wanted him to sell them back to Candy so that she could make money with them.
Right.
And Candy was my old lady for 7 years.
Yeah. So how did that? Like, that was before Mike, obviously, right? I mean, or was it after? It was after.
That was okay. When I went and saw Mike Malone, and he said, he said Candy's going on a trip around the world. You can come over and check it out. So I came over there for 2 weeks to see if I could work with Malone,
Right.
and see if that was, and Malone could work with me. Now my first fucking tattoo I did over there for a tryout was I was doing a name, and we used to use, everything had a stencil for it.
Okay.
A plastic
acetate stencil.
Yep. And what we would do is we just take a hectograph pencil, rub it on there, put it on the skin.
Right.
And
you did it even with names and stuff like that?
well, that's the thing, is we didn't do it with names.
Right.
And so my very first tattoo, I let the fucking guy watch me do the tattoo, and I'm done with the tattoo, and Malone goes, "How did that go?" And I said something to him, well, could have been better. And Malone says, you know what you should have done? You should have told the guy, you can't fucking be in the shop, take a fucking walk.
Well, why don't you tell them about when you guys started like building up on the Jerry frames that were left over at China Sea?
Right.
Is that
Well,
right?
we made 2 trips over there. I made 1 trip over with Candy that I got somewhere between 36 and 40 of them. I don't know exactly how many.
Okay.
And I took him back to Hawaii, and I had a machinist there that I was tattooing for in exchange for him milling the machines. And it just made sense to me to put an angle on the back shelf.
Right.
And I think Annette still got one of those machines that I had made. And I remember being over at your shop and you saying, well, I don't want to use this if this fucking breaks and like that. Well, the guy that fixed it is still here.
I was going to say, that's the one thing.
Well,
I know,
and it's so valuable. I got it from Suzanne's apprentice,
Jody.
Miss
Right.
Jody.
Uh-huh.
She lives in Thailand now.
Right.
And I got it from her. You rebuilt it for me because it was a little rusty.
Right.
I'm scared to use it. Leave it at the shop. It's too expensive. Somebody's going to see that and snatch it.
Right.
Well, you'd
You
like
know?
to think that's not going to be the case.
Well, it could be. I know people that's happened to. I don't want it to be that
Right.
the next person.
Right. Well, Candy used to set out a machine. It was a triple leaf French spring machine on her station, built on a lightweight Spalding frame. And she would do that because if somebody was going to steal a machine,
Get that one.
they would take that one.
Yeah.
And I think that triple leaf French spring was a Jerry trick probably to make that French spring stiffer.
Okay.
And it might have even come from Jack Rudy, who, Jack's about as good as anybody is at single needle stuff.
Most certainly, yeah.
Even to this day. And I don't think Jack even, he's going to be at Crow's Convention in October.
Right.
And I don't think that Jack even needs to tattoo anymore.
I think a lot of it's got more to do with, you'd like to think more for a love for the business. I
Right.
know during COVID that he had done a lot of drawings and stuff like that.
Right.
Working commissions and stuff like that.
Right. Well, I got a box of cigars from him that a customer left for me that I gave to, Pete that comes by, that I gave to Pete, and it had one of Jack's in black and white and one in color of artwork that Jack did.
Okay.
And, I asked Pete when I see him that, how do you like those cigars? And he said, they were good cigars and shit.
Nice.
Pete being a cigar smoker.
Right.
And then Pete'll chew the fucking nub that's left, to cut it off, because Pete says, Pete always tells me, and Pete made the stamps for my machines.
Oh, okay.
So I stamped them all with Scott Sterling on all the Color Kings. I never cared for that Color King name very much, but that's one that Malone made up.
He just kept it.
And then Hanky Panky made up the name for a machine that I made that was like between a magic marker. It was a fast running shader.
Okay.
And that's what Hanky Panky did this machine, and he did it in 3 minutes, including drawing time.
And what did they name that one?
That was called the magic marker. That's what Hanky called it. That's right up against my Greg Irons tattoo. And on my Greg Irons tattoo, I never let, I got a lot of space around there, but I don't really go into that.
Yeah,
So,
it's understandable. I've got original Greg Irons.
Right.
Not that you have a lot of original stuff.
right.
So, but so the machine building. How long did you spend in Hawaii actually building machines with Mike and stuff? I mean, was it a long time? Was it a long period, like a couple of years, or?
Yeah, a couple of years, probably till 92.
Right.
Would be my guess, and that's just a fucking guess. But then, when so I came over and I had between 36 and 40 of them, and then a guy, Steve Paul, who me and Candy got the machines from,
Okay.
came over and he saw me using them, and he says, I got a mate of mine that that's making these, that might have some of those frames, and would you, and I'll send them back, I'll ship them to you.
He'll send them to you. You build them and then send them back.
No, he just
he
said
just-
I
he
could
just
have
wanted
the
the frames.
frames. And I said, well, how much do you want for them? And he says $35. And, I don't know. Those things were going for, well, it was probably $750 at that point.
And this is in the late 90s.
You see, that's where I get mixed up. Now, that would probably be in the early 90s. Because I was
Okay.
still at my rooms. And Jerry had all those frames cast at Broken Hill Foundry.
Right.
Now, Broken Hill is just an area, and this was all when Jerry was experimenting with machines and like that.
Right.
Jerry was trying to figure out his own geometry on it, and she's fucking using my fucking crutches, and my crutches have been behind that couch for I don't know how long, because when I went up to see Rath, and I got fucking thrown in a mental institution there for being real crazy.
That's when you went and did the machine seminar up there?
Yeah, I did one in Portland.
Yeah.
And Seth Safari was there, and Seth took over for me.
Yeah.
And another guy named Dan took over for me too, because I was already getting fucking stressed out. And that was the only time I met another tattooer up there that was supposed to go on the tour with us over in Europe. And it's fucking only because of Patrick Kessel that put on the Tribal Tattoo Tour
Oh, okay.
that I was able to do that. And, because of money laundering things and like that. I won't get into that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So let's go back to Hawaii.
Yeah, let's go back to Hawaii.
Let's go back to paradise.
But
So any other memorable stories working with Malone, or?
Malone was a good storyteller.
Unfortunately, I only met him maybe 2-3 times at conventions in passing. It wasn't ever spending real time with him, unfortunately.
Yeah, Malone was a hell of a storyteller. The only other storyteller I know that would be as good as Malone would be Hanky Panky.
Him I've managed to spend a little bit of time with. And
Yeah.
He is most certainly, he is definitely a storyteller. He's someone who's been around and knows how to tell a story.
Right, well, he's a knight, you know that.
I didn't know that, no.
Oh yeah, he's knighted by the government,
The
or
Queen?
in
Holland.
In Holland, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yep. And and
Did he ever go out there to Hawaii? Did he work with you guys, Hanky Panky?
he was out there, and I was working on a tiger or something. Me and Malone were working on a tiger, and we're doing it at the same time. We're racing each other to see who could put it on
Racing,
quicker.
of course, yeah.
Right? And Hanky was there, and I think that Malone might have beat me, but I think mine might have looked better.
Yeah. And then, yeah, exactly. That means more than speed.
But I don't know. Maybe Malone's looked better, but we finished about the same time either
Right.
way.
Right.
you know, within a few seconds of each other. And Hank was in the shop, and and Hank, Hank's a hell of a tattooer.
Yeah.
And when last time I was over there in Holland, and this was on the tattoo tour, and York was over there, I watched Hanky on Patrick's girlfriend just draw one line down, a horizon line across, and do a Rock of Ages just out of the end of the machine.
Really?
And then he did rope around it, too, in an oval.
And this was when? What year would this have been?
2018, maybe?
Shit.
2018, 2017, something like that.
That's
Yeah.
killer. So how's it been since you've been back here in Virginia? I mean, you've been, like, you worked over at Ancient, like, you went back there, and just how much time did you put in there in the last, like, I don't know. You said obviously you've cut back from how much time you're tattooing now. So
Right. Well, other than doing private seminars at my house, I'm just going down to the shop. I can go down there once or twice a week, or as much as I want, really. I just have to go.
right.
You're tattooing tattooers now, right?
Yeah, pretty much just tattooing tattooers.
Yeah. Well, that's like, I mean, at that point, I mean, that's really more, that's what people want. It's those tattooers that want a piece of history.
Mm-hmm.
If they own your machines, if they sit with you and listen to what you have to say for machine theory, or they get to honestly sit with you and catch a tattoo from you, it's those, even if it's only a couple of minutes or an hour long tattoo, it's that time that you get to spend with a piece of history for this business. You know, I mean, it's like, and you know, we've often talked about how a lot of things are lost in this trade right now, but there are certain things that are never going to go away. You know, the value that you've brought to this business over your decades of fucking tattooing, that's huge. It's never going away. You know,
Right.
So.
Well, just like Crow, Crow came up with the concept to put the designs on the back of the sheet.
Right.
And that's what, he just wants to be known for doing that. And I think the first 20 sheets he did, he didn't put his name on the back, but they were still on the front.
Right.
Or the designs were still on the front. We had some of those hanging up at Moses' shop when I left there to go to Hawaii. And when I left to go to Hawaii, Moses gave me his blessings, and I went over to work for Malone. After, I saw Malone at that convention in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Right.
And so I went over to Hawaii, worked with Malone, met Candy, and kind of like fell in love with Candy.
So you mentioned something about her going around the world, and then we got cut off before. So what exactly was that?
Well, that was, she didn't end up going around the world. She ended up just going to partway around, and then Roxy, who is a real good tattooer from Denmark, when you work in Denmark in Sven's shop, they don't even use a stencil there.
Everything's just done freehand.
Everything's just done freehand. I got a red boots girl on the inside of my thigh that Roxy did on me.
Nice.
And she did it with a 4-needle outliner. It's probably spread some, but it still looks good.
Right.
And that's what they call a red boots girl.
Okay.
And and that was in Nyhavn. And Nyhavn is a section of Denmark where when Malone and Candy were out there visiting Sven, they ran into Roxy, and then Roxy eventually went over to Hawaii and worked with Lance McLean.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know much about Lance McLean.
I don't know.
Well, Lance takes a real long time to do a tattoo.
Fits right in today.
Great.
What's that?
Great.
Fits right in today.
Yeah, but Lance does a real good tattoo.
Right.
And Lance did on my skull leg. He did a pretty good sized skull towards the inside of my thigh.
Right.
And when he's working, he would work with a rubber band hanging from the ceiling and to take the weight off the machine, because Jerry used to do that. That was a Jerry innovation.
Okay, I didn't know that actually.
And I don't think Jerry did that for very long, because Well, because, taking the thing off and then unhooking it, putting your machine down, like Lance would have to unhook it, put the machine down, pick up the green soap, get the tissues or whatever he was using, wipe the tattoo off, and then have to hook everything back up again, and then do a little bit more.
Right.
And
that's pretty funny, actually. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah. And it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And but Lance, Lance didn't care.
Right.
And Candy put up a while back a picture of Lance, and Lance knowing the value of $1. Well, I'll tell you a good story about Candy. Okay. Candy, when Malone, you know how Malone died, right?
Yes.
He shot himself.
Yes.
Okay. Now, and this is, this belongs to another story. But anyways, Candy was on the phone with Malone when he shot himself.
Oh, I didn't know
and that was in San Rafael.
Yeah.
And that's right outside of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And that's also where Horse used to work, Horse from Hell Street.
Okay.
And Horse from Hell Street learned how to tattoo in San Quentin and got on a work release program. And that's where Shane learned to tattoo from Horse. And Horse did this skull on me right here. And Horse also said he did the best black roses in the business, and that's why I got 2 tattoos from Horse. And that black rose still, my skin's dry, but it's still a real nice tattoo.
Yeah, totally.
And he did it with, not with rotary machines, he did it with,
No, with coils?
with coil machines, yeah.
Okay.
Because when Ed would come in, the original Tattoo City, and catch Horse tattooing with a rotary machine like a joint style machine, Ed would tell him, you can't be doing that.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah, because, there's no sanitation to that.
Right, not like,
You're using like a guitar string or
like it was even outside, he was still using that kind of machine.
yeah. A little bit until Ed would go and,
Just
tell
give
him
him enough shit that you
that
can't
shit.
be doing that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
you can't
nuts.
be doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And that was, when Tattoo City was still there and Chuck was working there.
Right.
Chuck Eldridge was working there. Kate was working there. And
What year would have that been? Early 70s? 74?
Well,
5?
yeah, maybe. It was before, well, I don't know. I just know that, I know that Shane's been, Shane knows how to draw.
Oh,
He's been drawing all his fucking life. Since he was a fucking kid, he could draw. People look at his fucking shit and they don't think it's that fucking great, but Shane's a great oil painter. I've got a painting in my room of Owen Jensen that Shane did in my room where I make machines.
Right.
And it is a painting of Owen Jensen putting a chess piece on.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
So with the machine building classes that you're doing now, I mean, you're doing most of the stuff in house now, not traveling as much, obviously. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How often are you doing that kind of stuff? You get people coming from all over? Or?
Yeah, people coming from all over. Like I had a guy from, when we talk about tattoos holding up good and like that, there was a guy here from Houston, Texas that came out here to learn about machines. He took meticulous notes and like that, and then he wanted to come down to the shop and learn how to spit shade from me.
Okay.
Because spit shading is a lost kind of art. Nobody spit shades anymore, although when you go to Annette's shop,
I was gonna say you got.
I still spit
Yeah.
shade when I paint,
yeah,
and all my boys spit shade.
Yeah, I know they do. And I know they do because I know, Bo, who is a very, very good tattooer, and you made him. I remember when we were driving up to fucking, to Nick's,
Yeah.
and you were on the phone talking to fucking Bo about, you got to do this and do it right, or else, you're going to go back to where you came from. And Bo did go back to where he came from, and that was at Ancient Art.
Yeah.
Now, when I walk in the shop, Bo's the old man in the shop until I get there.
Yeah, right,
And then I'm
exactly.
the old man
And
now.
then you're the old man.
And that's not such a bad position to be in, is to be the old man in the back corner of the shop.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. So
Because I can still see what's happening in the room.
nice.
And as long as and I'm sitting on a fucking stability ball in my fucking room now.
Oh, are you really?
You have to keep my core strong.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's something like over the years. I mean, you said you're 70. How old now?
71.
71. So it's like just to be able to have done this, no surgeries, not had your back for surgery or
Right.
anything. So it's, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, to
Right.
be able to be physically fit at this age
Mhm.
after having done it for so many years.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty impressive thing. I mean, people half your age are, no offense to Steve, but people half your age are having fucking surgery now.
Yeah.
Mhm. But I just, the other day, got a fucking, a message from Steve about, him not riding a hardtail anymore. Because he had that fucking hardtail. And, he messaged me back that he wasn't going to be able to do that anymore. Because, you see, I couldn't, I'd go nuts if I had to stay in bed as long as Steve has to stay in bed and not move. And
I think it's just
He
being,
saw the struggle.
yeah, I saw it the last 2 days. I mean, I think it's just a matter of knowing, he knows there's a light at the end of the tunnel. He
Yeah.
knows he's gonna
Right.
get it.
But I think that Steve could have benefited from not using a foot switch for 30-something years.
Yeah, you're one of the
tattooing.
few
Right.
older,
His
older
His hip is
generation.
really messed up, and
Uh-huh.
it hurt his back and
Mhm.
his hip
right.
from the foot switch.
Uh-huh.
So listen to Scott.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're one of the
what
few
Scott
older
does.
tattooers, older generation tattooers that I know that didn't use a foot switch, that I know of, you know.
Right.
It's something I had stopped, and it was a tattooer who'd only been tattooing for about 10 years.
Yep.
When I watched her working in my shop, and she was
Mhm.
just like, yeah, I don't need a foot switch. I'm like, what the hell you mean you don't use a foot switch? And it was true. I mean, because I've got issues with my hip that are not getting
Yeah.
better after 25 years of using a foot
Let me
switch.
get rid of these fucking.
Now, what this, I was going to say, he's wearing gloves, so it's not that old of a video.
Right, right. Well, you see, I don't ever remember Malone wearing gloves when I was working with him because he had psoriasis, and the fucking gloves, the powder in it would bother his hands.
No, that makes sense, actually, yeah.
And,
Especially back then, because I don't think powderless gloves were a thing until,
Nitro either.
yeah.
Right, yeah, nitrile. And I still don't like wearing nitrile gloves
Yeah,
because
neither one.
hard to get my hand in them. And now, I've got this fucking sore on my hand because I went to a little fucking Chinese girl to get a massage, and she gave me a hell of a massage. But, I got this blister there that won't heal, and it's just like Junie Salmon. Billy, you know who Billy Salmon was?
Yeah, yeah.
And Junie used to have this pressure point that she could press down, and it would just drop you to your knees.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Junie can still do that, but I haven't seen Junie since I was last out in San Francisco.
Right.
What happened there?
With here,
Yeah.
I think you.
I burned myself
Yeah.
heat treating oil blackening machines, and I didn't even realize I did it till the next day.
Yeah.
The next day, it's all blistered up, and then and
Anything on your extremities, it's going to take longer to heal.
right, yeah, and so I ain't gonna be going back to her for a while. Even though she gave a hell of a massage,
Well,
she put the hurting on me because I've had 3 shoulder operations
oh,
now.
Christ.
And I had, in my early 50s, when I was in really good shape, I was the strongest I'd ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And I had 1 shoulder operation, and this one was operated on first, and then I was back to work within a week. But I had to be working like this. I couldn't get my arms up like
Right,
this.
exactly.
And then that healed up, and a year later I'm my strongest, and I'm benching basically 300. Well, I know I was mentioned 300 for a double, which is like single would be at 165, and that's what I weighed at about then. Then I fucking had this fucking shoulder operated on, and you can still see I got a scar there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one too.
Yep. And then I had my arm in a sling for 6 weeks, and I was thinking, there's no way I'm gonna have my arm in a sling for 6 weeks. You're fucking out of your mind. But he had a company to get in there to do the the surgery, and he was all proud that he got it all sewed up and all the tattoos were okay. And I fuck the tattoos. I don't give a shit about the fucking tattoos. You know, I mean, a scar is as good as a tattoo.
Well, yeah.
I disagree when we're talking about a hardy back piece, personally, but you know, like,
Yeah.
why don't you? What was the busiest shop that you worked at? Do you think? And what was that like?
Well, that would have been China Sea, because when I first went over there and left Moses's, well, it might have been at Lyle's at the bus station there, because that's where I learned how to tattoo real fast.
Right.
Because I'm right next to the Greyhound bus station, and
People on a limited time schedule.
right, yeah. And I can remember doing like big Harley Davidson things with the crossbones and a skull, and doing them while the guy's waiting for his fucking bus. And I don't know what that looks like today. But
What do you think are some of your more memorable? Like, where were you when you did your more memorable tattoos? Whether it be like changing a style from going from traditional Americana to doing more Japanese style stuff. Was there a particular moment that you can remember that, or surroundings that you were in that you can remember being like, oh, this changed the way I did certain things?
Yep, that would have been probably, well, when I met Wrath in Hawaii, because I learned how to paint from Wrath.
Okay.
But he was using these fucking colors to spit shade with. You know, they hang up in Matt's shop up in Washington, D.C.
But why did your style change in when you worked with Wrath?
Well, you know, it just changed in that when me and Wrath started working together, Wrath came in with 2 machines, and I was doing something, I can't remember what it was, but it was something, I don't know. Wrath sat down, had 2 machines, put them down on the counter, didn't know where anything was, and he bang, 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 knocked out 3 tattoos, and I said, man, I'm going to like this guy, because he was quick, he was efficient, he didn't even know where anything was, and
Just all business.
all business, yep. And like we were talking at this last Virginia Beach convention, and we were talking about Wrath was saying, you know, Wrath did a back piece on a kid there. I don't know if you saw it. Mm-hmm. Oh well, Wrath did. He outlined a Rock of Ages on the kid, and then the kid came back the next day, and Wrath just got a corner of it done in black and white, and Wrath said, you know, the kid would have sat through it for another day, but Wrath was all booked up and didn't need to do any more tattoos. So that changed things for me. Probably the original game changer, other than working at Lyle's and learning to tattoo real fast. Well, I also worked at Lyle's Tattoo Cafe.
Okay.
And that's, you know Tattoo Time.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's a picture of me in there as the tattoo bartender.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
No?
No, I didn't know
I can
that.
show it to you.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it after.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. And that was when I had makeup, the makeup on my arms to cover my arms so you couldn't tell I was tattooed.
Oh, shit, okay.
And boy, that made me fucking feel weird to have. I didn't like that feeling.
To see that no tattoos on you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get out of there and go and wash that off. But Ed wanted me to do that for that tattoo time thing.
Right.
And so I was in that tattoo time, in all the tattoo times.
That wasn't part of that video. There was a video that Ed had put out a long time ago. around the same time as Tattoo Time, and there was like an art. There was all these different tattooed people
Mm-hmm.
in a gallery space, and that was like a party almost.
Right. And me and Danielle got in the door on that, like before anybody else had to, because
Tattoo the World, right?
I
I
tattooed the
can't
world.
for the life of me. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah,
I
I got
watched
it.
it every day for like the first 2 years I tattooed. It was on a loop with all the Roy Boy videos and everything
Uh-huh,
in the front
right.
of the shop.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. I was gonna, when I was working, I eventually ended up working for Cliff Raven after Lyle's.
Okay.
And that's when Cliff had the shop on Sunset.
Okay.
And we would tattoo all the movie stars and all of the rock and roll people would stay across the street. And me and Kevin Brady tattooed there together. I don't know if you know who Kevin was.
I know the name. I don't know. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, Crow's got in our shop. He's got original art by.
Yeah, we were at Crow's
Right.
yesterday, just seeing some of the stuff that the original, the stuff that Malone had inked and painted
Right.
from Ed and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. Did you see the little notes that were penciled in?
Yeah. So there was one we couldn't. It was on he had a letter from Ed on the back of one of them,
Mhm.
but I didn't. We were going through them like it was all stacked up. I didn't want to pull it out because
Right.
there was a lot
Uh-huh.
to take in. But
Right.
yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Uh-huh.
Way cool. But yeah, the fact that everything's got it's just personalized is super nice.
Right. All those notes that wrote, like he'd write to Crow something about, hi ho, to work we go. And Malone was probably, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead or anything, but Malone was probably, hooked on drugs back then.
Oh yeah. So it's.
I mean, everybody was back in the
It was
early 80s. I mean, you couldn't find a silver tattooer back then.
It seems like there was, and if there was, they stood out like that. That was like something that you knew them for back in the day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Again, I think it's just everybody's a product of the times. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We all
Right.
live in that certain in a certain time.
Well, how did you two meet and become good friends?
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Wrath.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Wrath. I got to the East Coast.
That's York talking over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
got to-
sorry I didn't set up another
I
camera.
got to the East Coast, and Wrath says, there's two things you have to do. You have to visit Philadelphia Eddie, and you have to go get a machine built with Scott.
First step, and we've been friends ever since.
Well, he didn't really shout up on my doorstep. I picked him up from a hotel
Oh.
That's true.
in my Porsche, and we were able to get everything in there. And then when York left, he was hitchhiking to where were you going to? Like Tennessee or something?
Yeah, I
like
think
that?
Nashville.
Nashville, right? And he made it there, and I don't think he had hardly any money on you.
No, hell no. Well, I spent it all on that machine.
Yeah, it's a good.
I got my priorities straight.
Sorry about that, York.
That was fine.
didn't even get a bus ticket, dang.
But I remember after dropping you off, I'm in Norfolk, and I'm driving. Norfolk will flood if they have enough rain, certain parts, because sea level's so low. I mean, I know if you drill for a well, where my well is in the front yard, that you only have to go down 6 or 8 foot.
It's
You're
that
gonna hit
the water level's that high, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we're in a very good position where our house is located here, in that the house is located in a no flood zone.
Right.
It's in a no fly zone too, so you don't have to hear jets going over all the
Thank
time.
goodness.
You get a lot of that where you are?
Every now and then the helicopters will come by really low, and you'll think that the roof is caving in.
Right.
And no, but we don't get the big planes like over when I'm on Laskin Road. I
Right.
can hear.
Right. Sounds like they're in the
It's
fucking car.
insane.
Mhm. Right.
It's crazy.
Mhm.
I couldn't live over there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
Right. Well, that's where Tony and Mike's shop is, and that's where Mike Rickards, who's a good friend of mine, and has helped me out a real lot in all these crazy times, and Nate Harmon, who has helped me out a real lot.
Right, yeah.
Just by, messaging me and like that, and I've got to make machines to take to this convention in Winston-Salem.
When is that show happening?
That show's happening September 20th or
Okay.
14th.
14th.
September
okay.
14th.
September 14th. Yeah, I got
It's,
it written down.
The Tattoo Archive. They put on the history
Oh,
show.
okay, yeah,
for
that makes
historians.
sense. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Did we ever get to Winston-Salem? I went to visit Chuck back in San Francisco years ago with.
Out at the archive.
Yeah. God, I can't remember who the hell I was with. I don't think I was with Rodney. And then again, I went with Rodney when he had moved out.
That would be Rodney Range?
Rodney Range, yeah.
Right.
Good
Yeah,
friends with
okay.
Rodney for years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, to be honest with you, that's half of how I know about you, is the fact that, Rodney's
Right.
obviously speaks very highly of a lot of the stuff that goes on down here. My travels through the South have always been like mainly work related, and
Mhm.
it tended to be more towards west of here.
Mhm.
I think I've only been down to this area maybe one or two other times. Besides passing through.
Mhm.
But that was the whole point of wanting to come out and see you for this.
Mhm. Yeah, funny how things work out like that.
No, it's nice. I mean, the thing is, I spent so much of my earlier career, I've fought more than 3/4 of my career, just trying to get better, learn,
Mhm.
take care of my clients. You know what I mean? Like that, you tend to forget that you're in a foreign city, a foreign country for sometimes. You know what I mean? You never see beyond the hotel. And I've made it a point in the last probably 8 years to want to spend time with friends. Like stop doing, I don't want to say stop doing conventions, but I would rather go to somebody's house. Like spending 2 days with Annette and Steve was fantastic. If I had just seen another convention, it's so, shit's passing in the night kind of shit.
Yeah, if you're lucky if you get to just have a meal with somebody.
Exactly. And that to me, I mean, I know I'm a fat fuck, but it's like, that's half of what I enjoy. I mean, growing up Italian, it's like that's sitting in a meal is it breaks down all barriers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to me, that's I know it sounds stereotypical, but it's the truth. I mean, it's like that's something I've always used to get to know people. You spend that time together, and it's like
I remember York wanting everybody to line up around the table. When I say the table, that would be a massage table, and everybody had to be just in that perfect thing to get in that frame to be like the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember
wow.
doing that, York?
Yeah, I remember. That was. I love that photo.
again, those are things that you're never going to forget. You know what I mean? It's those little things, and that I think is the joy of this, of the business, and all this video shit. It's just one of those things. It's something to look back on and remember, I guess. So.
Well, I want to thank Scott for inviting me down to do the guest spot, because I wouldn't even have my shop in Chesapeake if it wasn't for you, Scott.
Well, I was so, I told you this before, I was so afraid you and Steve wouldn't make a go of it.
No, we made it work.
I know you did.
They needed us there.
I know.
They were sick of the people that were out there.
Right. Well, that's where Crow used to put his
The stepchildren went out there. If you got trouble, that's where you went.
And I just, talked to Chad this morning, who used to go out there. And Chad went out there because Crow finally had enough of him, because Chad would take off. And finally, when Chad had a kid that was 17, and Chad used an excuse of, I want to go to Busch Gardens with my kid, who's, just like a growing man, Crow had enough of it, and he sent Chad out there to work.
Chad still gets mail at Chesapeake.
Oh,
I got mail for him the other day. I'm like, Chad's long gone. Like, they're trying to sell him.
How typical.
I know. Like, who is this Chad person?
Nice.
Right.
Feel like I know him. They call for him still.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah. It's amazing.
I'm assuming you're going to be at the Norfolk show that JD's throwing next month, or in October.
You going to be there?
Yes, most certainly. Yeah,
Wonderful.
I avoided Richmond for personal reasons, and but I'm uber happy that he's doing this in Norfolk. You know what I mean? And I was I went down to Richmond for a day just to see everybody, and I will admit I was envious not having been part of that. But I'm glad I've got the opportunity to come back in September or in October and do it down here. So I'm pretty psyched about it. So.
Crow says that that somehow he got the message that I needed to get out of jail. Okay.
I just want to thank everybody for sitting in. I want to thank you very much for sitting with us. we're going to film a bunch of stuff in the side, and I'm going to edit it all together because this one is going to be a bitch. But again, thank you everybody. Like and subscribe, spread the word, and see you when I see you.
I must be doing something right.
The machine's still running, he said.
Yeah. And that's the only sheet I got from Rollo. And it's framed up real super nice. The girl that did it matted it and did it, so nice. And all of these, I got these from Diane Mansfield. And these are for the book we did for Paul after he had a stroke. And you see how she wrote in the ribbon up there? What did she write in there? Can you read that?
To Paul Love.
Suzanne.
Yeah. To Paul Love Suzanne.
Uh-huh. Yep, and there's Suzanne getting a hug from Paul with the Paul Rogers smiley face. And this is probably my nicest piece of artwork that I got in here. And that is me, Paul, and Wando over in Hawaii.
That's super cool.
And that's me in the center, and Paul and Wando. Now, me and Wando didn't get along too good.
No.
Well, when I quit, finally when I quit, and I tried to quit a couple other times, and he would fucking start, fucking moaning and crying and all that shit. Well, when I finally quit, I told him I'm gonna pick up this fucking baseball bat and bash your fucking head in. And I wasn't fucking joking.
Oh my God.
But, and that one's so wild, and that's like a reduction of it that Sean Barber did. And I just saw him up in New York.
Yeah, I haven't seen Sean in a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's going to be at Crow's convention. Now there's me and Crow on a Polaroid picture. It's somewhat faded out.
That's the bummer about Polaroids. I mean, it's the more realistic part of Polaroids is the fact that
And that's Danielle when she was at the airport to pick up a good friend of mine, Django,
nice.
who was coming in to town, and she would hold that because she didn't know who Django was, I guess.
So she held that up so he'd know.
Yeah, and it's on a popsicle stick behind there.
Nice.
And the one on the bottom is by Tim Flores. That's